Hello everybody, welcome back to Blast Away the Game Review. I'm your host, Dustin Murphy. So, I've had several people asking, how would you go about building a deck for Sparrow? And I've had a few people ask it because they've actually either played with me, or they've played as somebody here at Backer who actually uses my deck build. As you can see here, my build is pretty simple. It is a build that's based on the new affinities for Paragon, which includes knowledge, it includes death, chaos, growth, and order. Now, many of you will remember these because they were in the old system before Legacy was made Legacy. And today I'm going to go about a little on how my build for Sparrow works and why it works the way it does. And before I get too much further, I want to give a huge shout out to Epic Games. Thank you, Epic, for the background music for our videos. We really appreciate it. We look forward to covering your game extensively, and because of them, you're going to be able to hear a lot more about Paragon on our YouTube channel here at Blast Away the Game Review. Now, to get us started, for my build, you need to choose Death and Chaos, and there's a reason why. You want cards such as Culling the Weak and Demolitionist because you want to be able to go ahead and kill minions quicker, while also making sure that their health is to a certain point so that they die faster than the other person. This allows Sparrow to keep a lot of pressure on the lane and allows her to push, especially with a solid support. Now, the reason you're going to want to get Living Guardian is you want Living Guardian so that you can build up resistance early game. You want to be able to sustain your lane. You don't want to have to go back as quick as possible. You could use cards such as Tower Rush or say Taskmaster. You can use several of these cards, but unfortunately they're not really, to me, all that beneficial early game for Sparrow. She is an extremely fast character once you get her going, and for me, I usually say Sparrow take off within the first 5 to 10 minutes, especially if I'm in the right lane. So it is important to note that in the right lane, she is going to be a really fast and really progressive character. Now, one card I do recommending if you want to take the time and spend the credits, grab Dune Winds. It is an extremely awesome card. It allows you to get around quicker, but the downside is, even with its attack speed and its speed damage itself, you are going to see diminishing returns because you did lose so much. So instead, I'm going to be grabbing a few other cards, mostly so I can break their guard, reduce the amount of damage they can have. But also with buy points, I can get started fairly quickly, especially with cards like Overclock Droid, which does allow Sparrow to attack faster. It does allow her to hit harder, and its activate cost is not really that high, so it's a good starting early card. But you're going to want to make sure you grab cards like Pressure Hunter, as well as, say, Death Crawler, because even though Death Crawler will slow her attacks down, it will allow Sparrow to hit a lot harder. But I'm not going to put Death Crawler in this build at all. Instead, I'm going to grab cards like Heavy Hitter, and maybe even Wicked Riposte. I don't know yet. But Swamp Stalker is a great one, especially if you do see yourself in a 1v1, since your support will wander off about mid to late game. As you can see here, I did grab Heavy Hitter. I do want to increase my damage by 15% for my basic attacks, especially since Sparrow is fully based off her basic attacks. Now, Wound Seeker, for me, with Sparrow in the safe lane, is an absolute must. A lot of it's not just because of its attack speed, nor is it because of the power. It's because it has two abilities. It's got Hunter's Pierce, which allows you to have increased damage against critically wounded targets, but also it has an ability called Blight, which keeps characters like, say, Chimera or Narbosh from healing, from allowing them to keep their mains from dying. Now, Death Crawler, as you see here, I do have it highlighted, and I did put it in, mostly because Death Crawler could be effective later on. The only drawback here is it is a 13-point card, so you're going to have to choose between it as well as, say, Shell Golem, because Shell Golem is a really high-functioning card, but so are abilities in the cards such as Vampiric Blade, because Vampiric Blade is attack speed, it is health, it is attack damage, and on its activate, you do get a life return. So you get to actually heal yourself while damaging your enemy players. Now, one card that you can use, I've tried it a few times in a second build I have, actually a third build, which is called the Red Zone. Red Zone allows nearby heroes to take 50% more damage, but also deal 50% more to other targets. So the trade-off is Red Zone could potentially actually damage all of you. Now, as you can see with my build, I did go ahead and go with several cards which I will use in my finalized base build. And this is actually going to feed off these new gems you have, which are Agility, Vitality, Intellect. Agility increasing your armor and your attack speed, while Vitality increases your health and armor. Now, for Sparrow, I am going to grab this new gem called the Multi-Shot. But because it does have different attributes, I want to go with attack power or attack speed. Depending on which one you prefer, I would actually say attack speed would probably be your best bet, because the faster she hits, the harder she's going to hit, especially with her passive ability, which is her second, that allows her to do more damage for consistently hitting the same target and keeping that pace up. So for me, I'm actually going to go with attack speed this time around. Now, one thing to take note is, because I'm not going to be putting just a lot of points into Vitality, I'm actually only going to put one gem in here. And you want to make sure when you grab a gem that it's actually going to benefit you in some way. Because Sparrow does not have maneuverability or the speed that most seem to do, I actually put Quick Exit on all of her builds. And since it is the only Vitality card that I will be actively hunting down, I'm actually going to go ahead and fill all 5 of my gem slots for Agility and grab abilities such as Ruthless. I want to grab those because that means I will be doing more damage. And that even means you can go down to Intellect and grab, say, a Mana Potion if you want. I don't suggest it. Or if you want, you can go into Vitality and grab a second Vitality. You can grab stuff such as Armor, which gives you more armor. You can grab Damage Reduction. You can grab Mana Reactor. But they're not really that beneficial to Sparrow in the long run. So definitely take that into consideration when you're building a good Sparrow deck. And for me, Sparrow is the best with Order and Chaos, or Death and Chaos, not Order and Chaos. Order and Chaos is another great one, but I like Death because of the benefits of the cards. It just suits her more as a hunter. Now, because I am going to take full advantage of what Sparrow is, I'm actually going to be taking Empowered Rounds. This allows her to do quite a bit more damage rather quickly. So as you see, we can go Duelist, which means, you know, I can actually be hitting people a little bit harder. And I actually think instead, we want to make Sparrow hit as hard as possible. So let's see what we have here. As you can see, again, all these have different passives. Damage, health, mana regen. But because I do want my Sparrow to hit a lot harder, I think this, instead of Duelist, we're going to go ahead and go with Piercing Basic, which just allows me to hit harder as I go. It allows Sparrow to just eat through her targets. Now, one thing I do want to discuss is, before you finalize a deck, even though you can go back and edit, go ahead and make sure that your deck is going to sit somewhere along the lines of your playstyle. Because I do play a highly aggressive Sparrow. I want as fast attack speed as possible. I want to deal as much damage as possible. But the most important thing I'm going to remind you of is, remember, when you're building a deck, name it something that you want. Don't do like I did, where I left some of my decks as new deck or whatnot. But because I know some of you are going to want to see just what this deck can do, I actually went ahead and put a little bit of a feature of another deck that's real similar, which is my basic Sparrow deck. As you can see here, I do have a lot of decks made, so I'm going to have to take a second to find my deck. So let's dig around and find this. So with the deck I'm using, as you can see, I did go ahead and overlay a slightly different video here. And this is mostly because of the fact that the first Sparrow deck I have, I know works, and I wanted to stay with that. I wanted to make sure that the deck I was using worked, that it benefited me in the way I need. So I started off with my ability to kill minions a little quicker after they reach a certain threshold as far as their health is concerned. So as you can see here, my support is phase, and the phase I was grouped with was actually probably one of the best phases I've ever met. And a lot of this is because, let alone did she give the support I needed, she fit the playstyle of how my Sparrow works. My Sparrow, as I stated, is a very aggressive playstyle. It's a very heavy, you're going to starve your opponent of healing up. You're going to starve them of getting minion kills. You're going to force them to constantly return back to the base. And to me, that is the point of Sparrow, is she's meant to be that way. She's meant to be a highly aggressive character. Her only drawback is, as I said, is the maneuverability issue. She doesn't have the maneuverability of, say, Grux. She doesn't have the maneuverability of, say, Fei Mao. She doesn't have the knockbacks like Murdoch. She doesn't have the teleport Gideon has. So it's kind of one of those, you have to play her wisely. She's not the easiest character to play out of them all. So it's definitely something to consider whenever you're building a deck for, as well as playing her in general, is who's the support she's working with, how does she play. So keep in mind that this deck, even as a hyper-aggressive deck, especially if you decide to copy it, will have a learning curve that comes with it. It will require you to be situationally aware. It will require you that you pay attention to your map, that you do your callouts. Because if not, you will find yourself in predicaments like I did once in this match, where I got overwhelmed, and unfortunately because FaZe couldn't help me, I did die. But just remember as well, with this build, you're not going to have to use Sparrow's abilities as much unless you're getting in a big fight against other players. So it allows you to definitely create choke points. It definitely allows you to push where you need to push. If you have a lot of minions, it does allow you to get her debuff against the targets. As you can see here, even though I did capture my footage on both PC and PS4 for this video, that I ensured that I was using the PlayStation 4 controller. I do prefer the feel of it, but that's neither here nor there for this video. It just goes to the point that her second ability with this build does play a huge role. And it's something that you need to keep in mind of, especially early in, is that she's not going to be as hard-hitting as she could be. So you're going to want to make sure that you're grabbing the proper cards in turn. As you can see here, I did go ahead and grab my piercing card. I do play it a little more aggressive. I'm not scared to tower dive, and I'll push a lane if needed. Within 10 minutes, I had already taken down the right lane. I had already gotten my first kill, which even allows me to do what I need to do in order to push lanes even harder. And luckily for me, it even means I can stand face to face with one-shot Grux builds, which is becoming a problem. And I will even be looking into if it's actually possible to have a one-shot Grux build, or if it's simply that Grux is getting real lucky and just getting an early start against other players. Unfortunately for this Grux, it doesn't seem that he was able to get started where he needed to as early as he needed to, because of the constant push, and starving him of the minion kills he needed. But the same goes for the Gideon. You know, we were starving all of them pretty quickly, and it even goes to show later in why my Sparrow just happened to work the way she did, because by the time I got all the cards I needed for my build, I was already hitting extremely hard. I was already able to put the pressure I needed to against other players, which allowed both my team and myself to perform optimally and to keep our momentum, to not slow down. Within 16 minutes and 21 seconds, we were already breaking our first inhibitor, and we were already just rolling through the enemy team. So it's definitely something to take into consideration when you do this build is, does your team match the momentum, or do you need to play a little more reserved? If you do need to play a little more reserved, it's absolutely fine with this Sparrow build. Please, take your time. Don't rush in. Don't think that Sparrow is going to be the great character that she looks like she can be, because she is a great character, but she does come with a moderate learning curve. And that means the timing of when you use her ultimate, when you use her AoE, because I do go for her abilities such as her ultimate. I do go for her long shot, and I actually prefer buffing up those as quickly as possible. Even her passive, because I want to be able to stack my damage. I want to be able to do damage extremely quickly over a short span of time. Now, do take into consideration here that Sparrow, even with my build, she can't take a hit. You're not going to have a lot of points in your vitality, so she's not going to have the health that she needs. Which is where I can quite honestly say, if I didn't have the phase for this match, I wouldn't be doing as solid as I did. Even by creating the few choke points I did, and having that multi-shot gem, none of this would have been possible. FaZe being the support she did, and the great support she was, which I'm really happy to announce. I am friends with the player now. I will be hopefully teaming up a lot more with this FaZe. It's definitely keeping our momentum up, because she allowed me, or he, whichever the player is, allowed me to keep my momentum. They allowed me to stay alive, to constantly have a passive healing going at all times. And that even means putting on pressure. If I didn't get a kill, I still had a way to push that pressure. Even if I had to say retreat or let my FaZe retreat. Because as you can see here, I did die, but I made room for FaZe to get out. And this allowed me to actually have time to grab cards such as Heavy Hitter, or Giant Slayer, or say Living Guardian, because I will trade out my cards. Unfortunately, even at this point, I didn't have the points to get my Giant Slayer out, so it was kind of a win-lose situation for me. But if you have that chance, definitely make sure you have Heavy Hitter, definitely make sure you have Giant Slayer, definitely make sure you have strong build cards. Because the quicker you have them, the harder Sparrow's going to hit, the faster she's going to put pressure in her lane, and the faster that she can perform the way she does. But remember, even as Sparrow and hitting hard, you're not a one-man army. You do need to count on your team. You do need to have a proper situational awareness. You do need to take note of where your weaknesses are. For me, I can quite honestly state that my weakness is, even now without a proper support, is that I am too aggressive, that I do push too hard. So even with my increased attack speed that I will show you here on screen, it doesn't mean I'm going to push through every single player I encounter, or I'm going to constantly keep pressure in my lane. I've had several matches since the recording of this match, to be more precise, that I did lose, that I did die, that I wasn't able to do what I needed to. I wasn't able to properly do what I need to. And a lot of it comes from the teamwork I had. As you saw there, I was able to do what I needed to because I had solid support from FaZe. I had solid support from Gideon. And they actually did quite a bit before I even got there. So in a lot of ways, they earned what they should have had the kills. I shouldn't have come in and just done what I did. But at the same time, it's about teamwork. I was there to help my team, so we were able to push our lane, and we were able to end this match fairly quickly. But I can't say because of my Sparrow build that we actually did. I do have to state that a lot of this was all great teamwork on behalf of the teamwork, and the fact that I built a proper Sparrow carry, which even at the end of the video you will notice I do get a little cocky, but it is because Sparrow is one of the hardest characters in my opinion to properly play. She's extremely vulnerable. She does not have the toolkit that her other companions have. Some of them are extremely fast, some of them are a lot more versatile than she is. So just remember, if you do give this build a try, that you do need to have a high situational awareness, that you do want to make sure that your support can keep up with you, and they know exactly how aggressively you're going to play. So definitely keep in mind that even if you do have a great support, she's not going to be great in every game. She's one of the most underestimated characters in my personal opinion, and she has a lot of room to grow, especially among the player base. Now, if you do decide to use this build, please, in the comments, let me know what you think. Definitely let me know how it works out for you, if you have any changes that you think I should make to it, or if the build is actually a build that you see a lot of potential in. Regardless, the feedback is always welcome. But before the video ends, I do want to give a huge shout out to Epic Games. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for providing us with the music assets. We do highly appreciate it. We will have some more videos up here pretty soon. We will be streaming on Friday, Saturdays for Paragon. You can catch us at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that is 11 p.m. Central Standard Time and midnight Eastern. We will be streaming for approximately 1 to 2 hours, so several matches worth. And a lot of the time I will be trying to stream, say, Sparrow, or I will be trying to stream another character. I do see a lot of potential in this game, especially since it is one of the most interesting MOBAs. And do feel free to give me a nudge in the ribs, just as I do my teammates here. You know, it's always really nice to see a Sparrow carry, especially because she is a carry that a lot of people do complain about. But again, I'm your host here at Blast Away the Game Review, Dustin Murphy. If you want to play Paragon, all you got to do is head onto the PlayStation Network, go to the PlayStation Store, download, or go to epicgames.com and download the Epic Games Launcher today and click on Paragon and begin installing. I thank all of you for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future.